Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to
It's
the knee
Wednesday,
bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If
March
we
the
are to
4th,
prophesy to the wind,
Black History Month. Women's History Month. I thought somebody would catch me on that. I caught myself. Women's History Month. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners, and welcome to those listening to Sirius XM. Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. Come to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And you can participate in this unique national conversation where you'll be heard all over the country, every state and every union of the country. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on our site and send me a message, like Tanya Stovall is sending me. Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, and the chat group, she's checking in. Wilda Smith, good afternoon, Pastor Al Sharpton. Well, good afternoon, Willa and Tanya. And we try to read as many of these messages as we can. There is a lot to talk about. First and foremost, I just want to bring you up to speed because this may be something that some miss that is important. The United States military, sub-torpedoes an Iranian ship. And this was a Navy escalation in the Indian Ocean. The U.S. military torpedoed the Iranian naval ship Iris Dinner in international waters. This is the first time since World War II that a submarine has sunk a warship in combat, according to the Defense Secretary of the Trump administration, Pete Hegseth. And Iran has therefore delayed mourning the supreme leader who the United States killed, and Iranian media reports the government has postponed the public mourning ceremonies for Khamenei. The conflict is spreading now across the Gulf. We may end up in a serious regional military confrontation. We need to know that because some of our boys may be on the front line, and women, boys and women. So this is escalating. The peace president who snatched Maduro and now has us in military combat and possible war in Iran. Also, in terms of domestic politics, in the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate in Texas, James Talarico has declared victory in the Democratic primary over Jasmine Crockett. With the vote coming in, Talarico got 53% of the vote to Crockett's 46%. And there was discrepancies in some of the polling sites in the Dallas area where, because they redrew the line, they had changed where people voted. But that amount would not have offset a defeat, and Jasmine Crockett has conceded defeat and says she'll be wishing him well, Talarico, well in that race. On the Republican side, I'm still in Texas, Democrat Roy Cooper and Republican Michael Whatley are set to face off. Cooper is a Democrat, former chair of the RNC. Whatley is the Republican, and that sets off a battle there. And something that really caught my eye this morning, I think it's amazing, and that is that we are definitely, in my opinion, going to be seeing, hearing, and dealing with a lot of things. But one of the things that I think that we will not be, in my opinion, I'm trying to phrase this right. One of the things we should not be excused of is not participating in changing this Congress and Senate this year. Let me put it that way. When you have Cooper on one side and Whatley on another side, there's a clear demarcation between who will serve the broader American public and our community specifically. Also, I don't know that many of you saw the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem given several opportunities yesterday to apologize and take back her saying that the two victims killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis, Renee Nicole Good and Alex Pretty, were domestic terrorists, and she would not apologize for it, wouldn't take it back. It is this kind of administration, they do no wrong, even when it's obvious that they do wrong. And lastly, the nation is preparing for the final homegoing services of Reverend Jesse Jackson. That will be the public homegoing services going to take place Friday at the House of Hope. The doors open at 9 a.m. And speakers will include, of course, the mayor and others, the governor and others, and of course the former presidents Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden are expected to attend. I've been asked to give words as well, and we intend to be part of those services on this Friday. in Chicago. And Saturday will be the homegoing invitation only at Rainbow Push before the burial. And then some of us will move on to Selma. I have the distinct, I will say, honor, even though it's a sad honor, that I marched across that bridge the last 2 decades in commemorating those that paid that price in '65, that marched across that bridge and were tear gassed and beaten, Amelia Boykin and John Lewis and Hosea Williams. And it was the drama of that march that led to Martin Luther King coming into Selma and leading the march 10 days to Montgomery. It was that drama that led to the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that is now at risk. And when I got old enough and financially able, would go every year and march across that bridge. I marched across the bridge with the first black president, Barack Obama, had me right behind him. And I marched across that bridge. The last time John Lewis went across that bridge alive, he surprised us and pulled up in a car, and we had to hoist him up, and I was helping to hold him up the last time he was on that bridge. And then last year, I helped Jonathan Jackson wheel Reverend Jesse Jackson across that bridge in a wheelchair. And that ended up being the last time he went across that bridge. So I'm going across on this coming Sunday, having all that history, because I promised all of them that I would never stop reminding people of our right to vote must be protected, and we must do it at all costs. That's the next few days. So pray for us with the Jackson funerals and burial, and then on to Selma to show we're going to keep the dream alive. Tricia saying, good afternoon, Reverend Al, and everyone on the message board. It's a tough day here in Dallas. It was a mess down here. Unfortunately, we didn't take advantage of 2 weeks of early voting and great weather. Yeah, Tricia, it's bad when we don't take advantage, but it is mature when we can say we could have done more, because then it perks us up to do more later. Sometimes we can't make excuses for we could have done more, and there were those that did everything they could, and then there were those that just did not show up, and we lose. Martise Chisholm heads National Action Network in Nan in Greater Memphis. Our Greater Memphis chapter of National Action Network says, I will be in Selma. My great-grandmother marched in Selma in 1965 and was murdered in 1966, fighting for our rights to vote. I'll see you in Selma. I didn't know that about. Wow. I look forward to seeing you, Martise, as we go across that bridge on Sunday. Wow. George Gammons says, I'm watching from Chicago, Illinois, share. And Frank Brown is saying, by any means necessary. Okay. And Center for Human World Culture saying, none can protect what they do not control. Unity. I totally agree with that. And Gammons also says Sunday is his 47th birthday, March 8th. All right, so we got a lot to talk about. Let's open up the phones at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back. Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and shopping. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the Black church, how we deal with Black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass Black march, Black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the Black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, Black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award, and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this Supreme Court. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do 2 cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York to pay for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year in 2025. It needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you. We need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused.
Around this is so wicked. Now they're going to they released last night a memo that said that the FBI was investigating Good. They're trying to come up with something on the victim. Not they gonna investigate who shot her. The ICE agent shooting in the head 3 times. They're gonna investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed something. Well, all right, let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The Speaker would be Hakeem Jeffries, who grew up right here in Name, as he said on Monday. The Speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become different.
Keeping it real.
So the Judiciary Committee, now watch this. In the
I am your host,
chair of the Judiciary Committee.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let me say by way of announcements, don't miss Politics Nation with Al Sharpton this weekend live, both Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern. And certainly we're going to be dealing with what is going on in Iran. But I'm also going to have some of the senators, governors on what is going on with the Affordable Care Act, our voting. Why are they not blocking things that are dealing with this whole ICE disaster? What is been really eliminated from the headlines now, and we cannot let them dictate us not getting the information. So I'm going to deal with it both Saturday and Sunday. I'll be live from Selma Sunday, but I'll be on 5 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday on MS Now. Don't you miss it. And, of course, you in the New York area, be at the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem. And in Women's History Month, we're staying for a couple more weeks at Mother AME Zion, the historic AME Zion Church Frederick Douglass spoke at. Paul Robeson was a member there, and his brother was one of the pastors throughout the century and a half that they've been there. And we are there Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and then you can, of course, watch it live on Impact TV or on nationalactionnetwork.net. And then, of course, the National Action Network Convention. You that have not registered, I do not think we've closed registration yet, but we're very close to. And I'm going to release definitely next week, the name of many of our keynote speakers, plenary speakers, and others on next week. But it's free. But sign up, register so you guarantee the seat. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, and you can also call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. When you look at the climate in this country and what is going on in Iran, what happened with grabbing the head of state in Venezuela, what is going on in the fact that the Senate and the Congress has not been able to come to terms with a bill to preserve health care, so premiums are skyrocketing. With the whole question of what's going on in Iran has skyrocketed gas prices. And if there ever was a time we need to come together, now is one of those times. And we keep saying we need to get together, but that's what National Action Network's convention does. We have people at the highest level of government and people that are in the communities on the ground. And you don't have to pay for nothing. If you ever went to a convention, you need to come this year. We have got to bring out the vote. And we have to be ready for the tricks. I said the name of this convention is Straightening Out Tricks in 26, because they played that in Texas yesterday. It might not have been enough for Jasmine Crockett to win, but it was indicative to show that if people don't know what the district's lines have changed, they will go to vote and their voting site will have changed. We need to deal with that information. That's why you need to be at the convention. You need to be a part of learning how to do what we need to do. And that's just for real. Let me go to, I saw some things on live, on the message board. Roderick McCoy says, let's use the Texas election as a lesson to make sure we find out exactly where and how and who we need to vote for. Don't wait until the election day. Roderick is right. Learn from what happened. Don't just talk about this happened, that happened. Learn from it so we can change it in November, because we got too much at stake here. And Anita Bracy says, I've read a lot of comments on other sites that folks in Texas are mad about Representative Crockett's loss and will not show up in November, giving 45-47 exactly what they want. Remember, he loves the stupid. Absolutely, he loves the stupid, Anita. Let me get this right. They're saying, some of them online, that they changed the district lines and confused people on where to vote. And they played this trick on us. So therefore, since they did this to us, we not gonna vote so they ain't gotta worry about us no more. We gonna reward them for tricking us. The Democrats didn't change the lines. I don't know who you call yourself punishing. So you gonna just take the knife and stab us in the back twice by helping the people that changed the district lines in the first place. And that makes sense to you. Now, if that makes sense to you, and I understand everybody got a right to their view, if that makes sense to you, make sure you come to Nan's convention, because I got a bridge I want to sell you called the Brooklyn Bridge. Bring your money. Because if you are crazy enough to think that you not voting hurts them that did them district lines, you're a candidate to buy the bridge for me. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
Oh,
Rev, you know you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. And we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We went to go. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine.
Last time. And we,
Alexander Shaw. How many slaves were staying here?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly. The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights and shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him, South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was daddy and helping pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But
Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I lived it. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Vote to phone Troy.
He was, Jack O'Dell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist.
Okay, wow.
Jack O'Dell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movement would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Just us.
That's right.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be an educator, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody.
Come today. I see the Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. Lord, we thank you for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I see the Honorable Maxine Waters is here. We thank for Maxine Waters. You see the Reverend Al Sharpton is here. We thank
Live, Rev.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go to our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. And I think that we as a people, I like what Happiness Donuts has on our message board: ancestors' work, sacrifice, done in vain. If we don't do what we're supposed to do, we're spitting on the graves of our ancestors. And I'm not dealing in hyperbole. I'm talking about ancestors that were beaten, jailed, and some killed to give us the right to vote. I mean, I want you to think about this a minute. Sometimes it's rhetoric and people clap and that's it. Think about this. People gave up their life, gave up their evenings at home eating dinner. They had families too, just like you. Gave up their hanging out on the weekend, gave it all up, saying, I'm going to do this so that generations behind us have voter protection, so that they can put people in office that will educate our children and give health care to our seniors. I'm going to give it all up. I like hanging out on the weekend. I like having dinner at home, but I'll give it up for them. So all they'll have to do is go vote and go find out where to go vote. And you are too low down to do that? Or you got some excuse about, well, that ain't gonna change nothing. If it didn't change anything, how do we have 60 blacks in Congress? Today, how do we have a black president who got affordable health care in that they're now trying to take out? If it didn't change anything, how do we have people all over this country in position? Well, Rev Al, I don't see much difference. Well, the difference you see we got because we put them there. My mother, my father, grew up sitting in the back of the bus, had no rights. How dare I say I don't see any difference when I can go places and do things they couldn't do? Can I do what everybody else do? No. Is it still unfair? Yeah. But it's a whole lot better than it was in one generation. And I'm going to insult them by saying there's no difference? How ungrateful can you be? Let's go to the phones. Let's start with Brother Jacob, Philadelphia, WURD, the word. Brother Jacob.
Peace be unto you, Reverend Al, and to your national and worldwide listening audience, man. One thing I say, we got to know that the whole world's not only watching, but they listening too, you know. And I'm going to say to you, Reverend Al, what Bundini said to Muhammad Ali, rumble, young man, rumble. You know, I mean, you know, I know you know this. In the Bible, one of the scriptures said that there's going to come a time where man will study war no more, right? Now, we know Ray Charles can see that that ain't the leadership that's in this White House today. It looks like they love war. I was watching that guy, Hegseth or whoever. He was reveling in we're pumping up. We're this and that. We're in other words, we're bringing more troops and bombs in. Like it was like he was getting joy out of it, right? You know, these midterms is coming on. You was talking about voting. Now, the people, and that offer you made about, you know, it's so ironic that somebody might come to the convention with a check trying to buy the bridge. You know, that's how some people minds run, but we pray for them. these midterms, right? My mother used to say, if you take one step towards God, he'll take 10 towards you. Now, we got that. I think we can get it started. I mean, because we got to get these people out of office. And the only way we can do that is the vote. It's on the people now. It's not on the ones we see in the seats of power. Because look like the Republican Party ain't doing nothing. They just kowtowing to whatever he says and scared to say anything. So we can just about see they ain't them. But in New York, there was a politician that used to say, keep the faith, baby. I forget his name. He used to always say, keep the faith, baby. And that's what we got to do, you know, because I know the more perfect union that the founding fathers had in mind, it don't look like what we see today. And I know this here, Reverend Al, we got to keep on working and praying that this land be healed, because, man, we need some healing real bad, don't we, Rev?
Real bad. Real bad.
Yes.
But we gonna we gonna get there though. We gonna get there. We might have to do scratching and crawling, but we gonna get there. We gonna drag our people through. We always have and always will. Thank you for your call.
Well, I'm gonna say amen to that. Amen.
All right. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, WURD. The word, Disco Brian.
Rev, I'd like to address two things today, if I may. Number one, you versus Noam Chomsky. And number two, if you give me the time, the brilliant insights of a black woman who goes by the name Darling Ebony on social media. So number one, before I found Keeping It Real, which led me to NAN, Rev, as I've told you before, I was a funder and supporter of many leftist and progressive media shows, from Democracy Now! To TYT, and I wrongly thought for decades, as I was helping support those organizations, that all those leftist progressive media shows and outlets were synonymous with you, with the civil rights movement, with NAN. But Rev, as I reflect back on that today, all those years that I supported what's called independent media, leftist progressive media, none of those shows ever featured you. You know who they did feature instead constantly as if he were a prophet, Rev? They featured a man named Noam Chomsky. They trained me, as did many of my professors in universities. They trained their audiences, millions of progressives like me, to ignore people like you, Rev, and instead receive the wisdom of a man named Noam Chomsky. Amy Goodman, who hosts Democracy Now!, interviewed Noam Chomsky probably 50 times over the past 3 decades, sat down and had him blather on endlessly about how evil capitalism is and how evil American foreign policy is and how evil Israel is, and never once questioned or challenged him. But Rev, in 2017 and 2018, when Noam Chomsky could still walk around, now of course he had a stroke and he can no longer speak, but in 2017 and 2018, anybody who wants to can go on YouTube to verify this. When Noam Chomsky was on Democracy Now! Warning the audience about the danger of Donald Trump, you know what else Noam Chomsky was doing, Rev, as the Epstein files now reveal?
What's that?
He was hanging out with Steve Bannon, laughing with him at Epstein's estate and advising Jeffrey Epstein on how to deal with negative media attention. So that's what the progressive...
Wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm understanding.
Yes, sir.
Chomsky was hanging out at Epstein's estate?
100%.
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky. The one picture is of Noam Chomsky with his arm around Steve Bannon, a picture taken by Jeffrey Epstein of the two of them together laughing in the year 2016, 17, or 18. And then another one, Rev, shows Noam Chomsky on Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express plane. There are 2 pictures of the two of them together with Epstein and Chomsky just kicking it, just talking, looked like in depth. So, and there are emails that have come out where Noam Chomsky is coordinating when he is going to meet with Jeffrey Epstein and Woody Allen. And I mean, Rev, it's the stuff of nightmares, as you can clearly hear. So that's my first issue today. I want to apologize for taking so long for myself, a longtime white leftist, to finally find the actual progressive movement in NAN due to the poison of what's called progressive media like Democracy Now! So that's number 1, Rev. Number 2, Darling Ebony is her tag. That's her handle. A black woman whose clarity has been as foundational for my own journey out of that confused white left contradiction and into my proud support for National Action Network. She has laid out a long pattern. She has been yelling since 2000 about young black folks and their white leftist friends because she says, just like white MAGA, many white leftists ultimately aim to decrease black political power, especially black women's power. She says they attack a black politician as, quote, APAC or weak or old. And when called out, what they do, white leftists, they point to another black politician, let's say Ilhan Omar, or a brown politician like Rashida Tlaib, who's more palatable, until that person seeks more power. Case in point is Jasmine Crockett. Darling Ebony says they praised her when she was taken down MAGA in hearings, and then started the, quote, I appreciate her, but mischaracterizations once she ran for Senate. And she connects it to Hakeem Jeffries, saying post-2024, they added the leader Jeffries, to the target list. And when black people ask the simple question, hey, what's your plan after Trump wins, and we get a Trump-Netanyahu pairing, Well, what do? They talk over us, black Democrats, and never answer. Her bottom line is blunt, verbatim, Rev. Young black people need to think only about black people and black interests. The agenda of white leftists is the same as the agenda of the right, to decrease black political power. My question, Rev, is what do you want white allies to do when we see replace Jeffrey's discourse rising, especially when it's being normalized by big podcasts and influence
All right,
culture?
let me take my break. I answer on the other side of the break. Thank you for your call, Brian. We're going to take a break. This is getting thick, and that's the way we do it, because we keep it real right here. Shopton. Be right back.
But the fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Shopton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you a racial name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit there acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway. Left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years. Died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you turn it around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mrs. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger who Rosa was, and we got to pass that on. Now I want to challenge everybody here today that when we leave here, you ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to make one commitment in her name to yourself. That you're going to either join some organization or you're going to stand for some policy. You ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to resolve that you're going to do something that'll make a difference because we're here because she made a difference. Most people come and go and we never come to say goodbye because their hellos didn't mean anything to us. But we're here because she touched every one of us. And we need to make a Rosa resolution. I said to some of the young rappers the other day, talking to me about, well, you get on us about calling women out their names. I said you need to come and know the story of a dignified woman. They make the excuse, Mayor Kilpatrick said, well, you know, we love Aretha and that generation, but we just kick it like we see it. We just mirrors that reflect what we see. But there's something strange about that. I use a mirror every morning. But I don't get up out the bed, hair all over my head, sleep around my eyes, slobber around my mouth, walk outside talking about I'm going to keep it real. Mirrors are not only to reflect what you see, mirrors are to correct what you see. You need to make a Rosa resolution that we're going to correct what we see. We're going to keep the fight going. And we're going to have James Crow Jr. Esquire know that we are the children of those that change the world. My Rosa resolution is they won't have no rest until we finish the fight. Wherever I see an injustice, I'm going to stand up. If I can't stand up, I'm going to speak out. And if I can't speak out, I'm going to do like a Rosa. I'm going to get me a chair and just sit in the way.
I thank God I was blessed to have both in my life, both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh,
Keeping it real,
sometimes
keeping it real.
making you a joke.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And of course, you can go to the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. And Betty Jones 7722 says some of our people didn't vote and some voted for Tallarico. People keep talking about Dallas County, and you should know where a vote at was simple. I hope everyone early votes next time. Okay, I agree with that. And Tanya Stovall says we have to keep up the fight for our voting rights. We cannot give up or into GOP mess, and that is for real. Let's go to the phone. Let's go to Dallas, Texas, to Leon. Leon, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Reverend Al?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking a couple of months ago about the Tallarico, Jasmine Crockett, competition. And I mentioned that I kind of thought that it was going to be harder for Jasmine Crockett because this is Texas and a heavily Latino state. And as we witnessed with the presidential election, Latino culture doesn't lean away from the white person. It leans toward them. And even though African Americans are, according to the numbers I get, in the millions here in Texas, the state with the largest number of African Americans, registered Democrats, the culture of African Americans here is not the same as the culture of Latino Americans. And what I mean by that, when it comes down to overarching issues, they coalesce more so than we do. We need to be more politically astute from Generation Z, X, Y, baby boomers, etc., than what we are. We need to roll our culture back, a paradigm backwards to when we were aware of what was going on politically and how it was going to affect us. And this is just another incidence of how we need to work on that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the war. I wanted to get on last Friday, but you didn't have enough time for me because I saw where the embassies were, the State Department telling people to leave the American embassies. And normally that's a precursor to something going to happen. So now it's already
They were telling the Americans to leave the embassies over in that area of the world, just to be clear, right? Okay.
Right. And that's normally a precursor that, well, something's getting ready to happen.
Right.
And so what's happened now is, well, remember we had an agreement during the Obama administration to monitor the Iranian nuclear program. Well, Trump dismantled it. And he was told by, national security people that they wouldn't have a missile capable of hitting America for 10 years. But he chose to make these strikes. But surreptitiously, I think that maybe Trump doesn't want to have an election this fall. And if he gets an opportunity to use this as a method to, well, I'm going to suspend the elections until, we get this thing straightened out, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries that. So I'm trying to get ahead of that so that we can be aware that he might try this tactic. Because when you start looking at what he's saying and what he's using to justify it, the reasons aren't rational. And when you're talking about a country with 90 million people, 1 million soldiers, you're not going to affect them with just dropping bombs, because they've been fighting wars for centuries. And to me, it seems like it's just something disingenuous about this whole war thing. I don't see how it's going to resolve a different political climate in Iran. Seems like to me it's going to make us over here in America less safe, because these lone wolves can come out all out of the woodwork and just drop us. I remember 9/11, all these different things, and America has never been really successful with using gunboat diplomacy to enforce whatever end outcomes that they want on these countries in these different countries. It didn't work in Vietnam. It didn't work in North Korea. It didn't work in Iraq. I mean, you still have problems. It's not working. And so I don't think that we need people in power who are going to just send your kids and my kids over there to fight in a war that actually, it's not going to be winnable without a lot of casualties, if it's winnable then. So I just hope we understand that this thing can be used for other purposes other than what they're telling us, because they keep telling us one. As I was looking at you when you were on television yesterday, they tell us one thing, and then the Secretary of State says something else. Trump says something else. The Defense Secretary says something else. This is disingenuous.
Very.
And we don't need another Iraq 10-year conflict where there was weapons of mass destruction, and after 10 years nobody found a single weapon. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right, and thank you for your call. As I did say that on television, 22 years ago, I ran for president. George Bush was president, and I ran in the Democratic primaries, and there were about 8 or 9 running, and I was the first one, and then one joined, that said there are no weapons of mass destruction. 22 years later, they still haven't found no weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein killed, all that. And here we're going through the same nonsense, that they had some nuclear material that was a threat. Then somebody, well, no, they really didn't have it, but they could have it. This administration is giving out 3 or 4 different narratives about the same threat. Rubio, the Secretary of State, said, well, no, we went because we felt they were getting ready to attack Israel, and when they attacked Israel, they knew the United States was going to defend Israel, so we went and attacked us. They would then have to attack us, so we preempted them by attacking. Trump said, no, we didn't do that. We went at them because I felt they was going to attack us, not Israel. I felt they were getting ready to attack us. They were stalling in negotiation. So they done told 3 or 4 different stories. And somebody, as I saw the on the message board, I wanted to read that. Yeah, I like this. Joanne Kemp says Trump was more interested in his gold curtains than the 6 dead soldiers. What Joanne's talking about, in the middle of a press conference a few days ago, Trump went to the back of the hall he was standing and started looking at the curtains and telling people how beautiful the curtains was and how beautiful the ballroom's going to be. He is yet to show that attention to 6 soldiers that get killed in Iran based on his policies. I ain't talking about 6 activists. I ain't talking about 6 Democrats. Soldiers. This is a kind of ruthless, insensitive administration we under. And you got the nerve to sit down and not vote to get us up out of here? Yeah, they changed some of the voting sites. So go to the next site. Because believe me, if they stay in power, all of us going to wish we had done what we needed to do. All right, let's take some more calls and messages after the break. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the 2 most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
a race baiter.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored. And I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight, they did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care, my families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or go to our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net and go to our live stream. All right, let's go to Charles in Atlanta, Georgia. Charles.
Hey, good afternoon, Rev. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. So, as always, pray for your brother. Thank you for all that you've done for the sake of humanity throughout the 5-6 decades you've been at it, man. And it's it would be hard to fake it for that long, Rev. Right? But hey, just know that you got people out here praying for you and know that you're genuine, tried and true, and we thank you for that. And my condolences to the Jackson family. I know that that's a major loss for all of us, but I know you had a personal relationship with him, and I just want to continue to pray for you on that front.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah, but I wanted to talk about and I think the last two callers kind of touched on it as well. I know one called out of Dallas, but watching the Senate, the primary race there with Congresswoman Crockett, and it's really frustrating and disheartening to see. I mean, she's capable, intelligent. We all know that, but just really due to the ignorance and just the lack of engagement from not only our people, but I think there's a lot of underlying racism with it too, Rev, and just checking out these social media spaces and seeing how people want to address or disrespect her, I should say, right, is very disheartening. But looking at the pattern here, so we had with the presidential race with Kamala Harris, and they did the same thing, and now, Rev, with the primary, at least for that Texas senatorial seat there, but here in Georgia, at least Keisha Lance Bottoms she's making a run. She's putting a bid in for governor.
Right.
They're starting with her. They're starting with her now. So there's definitely there's a machine or some force of resistance to. They really don't want to see black women in executive roles in this country. I want to summarize it that way, but yeah, there's definitely a concerted effort, and it's a mixed bag of people. We got some of our own people who, again, they fall into the ignorance. We got the underlying the racist and all of that. But again, I just really appreciate you continuing to fight and encourage us to fight. We're gonna keep doing what we can do to get over this hump. But I really would like for you to pay attention or just kind of dig in with what's going to. I'll say what's going to take place with Keisha Lance Bottoms, because it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same play from the same playbook that they've done with Crockett and they've done with Kamala Harris. But I thank you for the time, bro.
Oh, I appreciate your call and your prayers. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Still Bill in Cincinnati, the Buzz. Still Bill.
This is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Good afternoon, Reverend.
Good afternoon.
You are in rare form, and you made a typical mistake in the opening. That tells me right there that you enjoyed Black History Month just as much as I did.
I did. I really did.
Yes, and I mean, it's just a thing where we honor our heritage and we honor our black heroes, past and present. And I do mean past and present. And Reverend, you are the present, okay? And I definitely put you in that category of our black heroes. And, you know, I do want to give homage to Ray in Cincinnati, where he talked about last week of how Trump has a tendency to trump voters and supporters and everything and all this. Especially he gets on the air and he gets to talking and carrying on. And it's like the minute that he pauses, that, you know, it's like he looks for, you know, the supporters and all that to clap and pay homage to him. And it's just a bunch of bull, as always. You know, like I said, God is our president. You know, God is our judge and jury. But, you know, besides watching Politics Nation, I also watch this show called the Network News Department with Dee Dee Gadden, who hosts the show. And it's like, you know, I watch what Trump is doing with, you know, with war and all this. He ain't stopping no war. He's creating a war. But you know what? I'm going to end it right here and there. But you know what, Reverend? You keep doing your stellar job that you always do. And I'm looking forward to seeing your daughter one of these days, to where I let her know that I listen to Cheryl Lynn's Got to Be Real, and I will keep it real as always.
All right.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank
Bye.
you for your call. And I thank you for your call. Let me read on our message board. Tricia, 1989, she posted something that is worth me really making you listen to. She said the other shocking result from last night was Cornyn. I can say this: if Cornyn wins this runoff against the very, very corrupt MAGA Paxton, it will be an entirely different race for Tallarico. Now, reason why I think that's a profound statement by Tricia is that Tallarico will have one race if he's up against Paxton. Paxton's had legal trouble. Paxton's wife filed for divorce said it was on biblical grounds. I'm still trying to figure that one out, but all of that. So it would be this young dynamo against this old crooked guy. Pretty easy to write the script on that. Don't know if it'll work, but it's an easy script. Cornyn comes off as a more reasoned, statesman-like, thoughtful guy, even though he's voted by his own admission with Trump about 20-something% about 90-some-odd% of the time, not 20, 90. So it would be much harder for Credo to be able to give the rational debate against Cornyn that he would give against Paxton, who's got all that baggage and is a real souped up kind of guy that you would feel like he's guilty of a lot of the things they've accused him of. Cornyn knows how to behave reserved, statesmanlike, rational, and he'll try to play the adult against this youngster, this young upstart, who may mean well, but this is a grown man or grown woman's job. And if you look at the record, Cornyn has went with Trump almost all the time. But it is going to be the image. A lot of politics is the optics. So I think she's extremely right on target here. With all of Paxton's fervor and energy, he couldn't take Cornyn out. Cornyn still is the head, but they just didn't get to 50%. But let's make it clear. Cornyn is a Trump supporter. Cornyn will continue to use that Senate vote to support Trump and Trump's policies. He may look more reserved, he may look more self-disciplined, but he is MAGA in a suit. He is MAGA in a suit. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
Robert Culp used to do a show with Bill Cosby, I Spy, and he did a documentary on breadbasket, Robert Culp.
Oh, wow.
You need to see that documentary. It's great.
Absolutely.
I lived this. I didn't read this. I lived it. I was there.
You true to this?
I'm true to this.
Not new to this.
I ain't new to this.
Vote to phone Troy.
He was, Jack O'Dell was one of the guys that Kennedy warned Dr. King about. Say he was a communist. Jack O'Dell and Stanley Levinson. And Reverend brought him in. Nobody else in the movement would deal with Jack. Reverend brought him in.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Just her.
Just her.
But there's stories behind all of it. It didn't just happen.
But I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be in jail, but I am somebody. I may be uneducated, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful.
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attack, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and shopping. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the Black church, how we deal with Black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass Black march, Black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No King's marches.
You're live.
But the Black... Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877 532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to my friend in Chevy Chase, Maryland, Miss Richardson. Miss Richardson, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, good afternoon, dear. How are you today, Rev?
I'm doing good.
That's great. Yes, you sound great. With these two parties, I listen to C-SPAN daily, and there doesn't seem to be any compromise of opinion, of agreeing with anything. This thing that this man in the White House, this war with Iran, this is scary stuff. And if we don't watch out for him, he's going to have us all deceased. In other words, we'll all be dead when with him. And, but I don't know, with the two parties, my stand on it, and I'm an independent. I'm not a radical leftist. I never had, my family was always independent. Their own destinies came about with success through their own sweat and brow. They don't beg the government for anything. But let me say this, a lot of our brethren does need help. And I do believe in a safety net. So I don't want us to go as far adrift and say, well, Mrs. Richardson's back at it. No, I'm on course here. We do need a safety net, in regard to the needy, the naked, clothe them the way the Bible says. But nobody wants to do what the Bible says. This thing about religion, And Reb, you told me already that all of the religions are supposed to be emphasizing peace and not war. And we never get around why they don't do that. You know, man has a stubbornness to poke out his chest like a hen. I'm the boss, you see. I'm the one that has the power. And that's the way man has been since time immemorial. I don't think he's going to change because the greater power we know is in control. You know, I believe in one God. I don't believe in all of these make-up religions, what you call them, way or whatever you call them, and all of the different ones that they, that even black people will tend to, carry around. That's their God, this particular God with the name, all these different names. And they're saying that there's like many hundreds of religions. You know, I mean, where do we stop at religion about the many different ones that the authorities are saying that there's so many religions, and that's why we're confused. Now, Neely Fuller, you know, Rev, you always let me say it because you're the only one, Will. You're very kind and you're fair with people. Neely Fuller is the only man, he's gone now 97 years. And he warned us, he says, they're about confusion. White supremacy is about confusion, to confuse folks. You know, and so this is what we're seeing. You know, even the late, great lady Frances Quest Welsing warned us about the chessboard. She was the one with the chessboard at first. And of course, you know, there are now duplicates trying to emulate her about the chessboard, which I don't see anything wrong with it. But what are the results? What is coming from these different, Reb, these different associations where we're not getting off the base? As far as I've always seen it as being just on a certain base. Because, see, we should be up there at least with these other people that's got many businesses now. I'm not going to name them, but you know what I'm talking about. They're far exceeding us. About Dr. Claude Anderson, an economic man, a great guy. I love to hear him. And he's saying, too, that in 1900, there was only 100,000 of these people from other places here, 100,000 total in 1900. And we had 10 million. Now, I'm saying, what has happened to us? Have we stopped making babies? What's going on? And Reb, I don't want to get into that, but let me just say this. We're going to have to do something about our own house because we're declining in numbers every day, what it would seem like to be. And everybody, all these other groups are going ahead of us, you know. And we're the ones behind the 8 ball, it seems. Behind that old black 8 ball is the blacks, our folks are right behind that. We need to be removed from that. We need to be up in the upness with the others, where they're advancing and having businesses.
But they're not.
I
agree with you, but they're not there by magic. They're there by undue advantage. They're due by a unequal system, which is why we've got to do all we can to even the playing field to even get a shot up there.
Right, you're right. You know, I mean, I'm not disputing today because, Brad, I'm with you. I get I only come because I say I can get clarity from Reverend. These other stations, you will have a heart attack. And at my age, I've lived a long time. I don't want to have a heart attack and have my sisters out there. They're saying black women, Rev, leads the heart of the heart condition thing of dying of heart attacks from black women like never before. It used to be a man's thing. Now black women are dying like black men. They both are dying. And we have all these evil folks like Trump and Vance, and they get on C-SPAN and talk about the same you-know-what. And it's sickening, and I can see why our folks don't listen to it because we're intelligent enough, Bev, and you know we are. We're intelligent enough to know they're playing games. We know how they will football everything and just throw the ball around like where nobody can understand really who's at fault or who's. But let me just say with Disco Bryant, he's right. Now, I call it the part 2 of Disco Bryant because he's right. Now, part one, I just wanted clarity because he kept emphasizing burning, and that's what made me upset. He didn't go like he did on part two on this day for the day. I totally agree with him. We've got these progressive white Anglo-Saxon Democrats, now not Jewish, the way he emphasized on his first go-round with burning. It's all of them. Many of them are for us, helping us, but you've got at least half of that crew, Rev, up on that hill, consisting of 435, 100 of them in the house and up there on the floor. And half of them is leases with, like Brian is saying, just go Brian, that they are white progressive Democrats, mostly Anglo-Saxon. And we know ain't many Jewish ones up there. We know that. But Bernie might be an exception, maybe to a few others. But mostly they're Anglo from England and Germany and all these other places where they come from. And of course, they've been born here. They were born right here. But I'm saying their ancestry come from all these other countries, and they're not Jewish people at all. So it's the Anglo-Saxons that have given us all this hay fever and problem. And so we got to recognize that we have got to start supporting black businesses. You know, and I'm not saying it because my family has businesses, but I'm just saying we need to do more of this. And they have a paper, the Washington Informer, by the late Calvin W. Roloff. And Rev, you said you know him. You've heard of his name.
Yeah.
And his family has a great paper out, the Washington Informer. And you can pick it up sometime at CBS. Just go to your local CBS and you can get a copy. And so black people, let's do that. Let's start supporting our businesses. And Reb, I love you. And you know, David's sitting there calling me. He wants me to make some NAPO. So let me get in there.
All right. Give David my regards. Let's go to Christian.
All right, dear.
Let's go to Christian in Manhattan, New York.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Reverend Al. Thanks for taking my call. My deepest sympathy, my deepest condolences go out to you and your family, and honor and respect Reverend Jesse Jackson's family. Reverend Al, I thank you for having Reverend Jackson at the House of Justice in 2020. When he had his book, Keeping Hope Alive?
Yeah.
And I was there. God is good. I was there, and he said that 1199 was Reverend Martin Luther King's favorite union.
Yeah, that's the local 1199 hospital workers for you around the country. That's the local here in New York union, hospitals workers union.
Yes. And because I was a member of the union, I got the book free. And I think, things, and I was able to shake it. He signed it, and I was able to shake his hand. And that was because you had foresight to have him there. God is good. It was a wonderful day that day. And Reverend Al, there's so much I want to say. And I have to thank you again. In I think it was 85, I was living at Fort Hamilton Military Base in Brooklyn, New York.
Mm.
And I was a member of the NCOY's club. And we invited you to speak on Reverend King's Day at the base chapel. And I thank you for accepting our invite. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Been a long time ago, but I remember it.
A long time ago. And when you started talking about your 20 years plus, it made me remember that I saw you. It was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about it. Of course I thought it. I kind of forgot about it because I left Fort Hamilton. We moved a couple of states over. But some things are just good to have. And I love and appreciate you. I am a member of the National Action Network, and I've been there since 2018.
Wow, great.
And I thank you, Reverend Al.
I thank you. That's beautiful for you to call. Your spirit is beautiful through the phone. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. More of you on the phones and on the message board. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can send me a message on the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Be right back. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We've got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive.
Yes, sir.
There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, you know, all of this about our friend Barack announcing today, I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
Because, you know, I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare. And my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out. But she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said, you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilly is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet. 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. we gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just wait. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keep it happy. I am your host. One morning and Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And I think that as we look at the primaries yesterday, and we're looking for where we head into the midterm elections, let me just emphasize for you that may not know or may not be sure. If the Democrats win the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries is likely to be the speaker, because then the Democrats would have the majority and they vote on who the speaker is. Now, the speaker's gavel is not just some ego trip, something nice to put on Hakeem's resume or bio, like it wasn't just that for Pelosi. The speaker controls the gavel. They move forward legislation to be voted on. They stall legislation that they don't want to present to the floor. They help each of the committees, whether it's the Judiciary Committee, the Commerce Committee, State, all of them across the board. The Democrats in charge, they become the chairs of those committees. So they decide the hearings, they decide the legislation that comes out of those committees. So give you a practical example. Homeland Security Committee, if the chair is a Democrat, they will call in all of the Republicans under oath and say, put your hand on the Bible, subject to a line of Congress, which is jail time. What were the orders in Minneapolis? What led to Petrie's death? What about what happened to Miss Good? That's the power to bring things forward and change legislation. So the midterm elections this November is as important as voting in the presidential elections were in 2024 or 28 to come. 28, that's yet to come. Well, Remal, I don't know about all those issues. Well, let me bring something home to you. They are risking right now Social Security with the national debt. They're balancing some of that out with Social Security and other social policy measures. That got something direct to do with you. So you want people that are on the side of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security to be in charge, because if not, they will continue to balance the budget by cutting back on those projects. Let's be real clear about that. So this is not just some civic engagement. This is about who has the power over our lives. No question about it. And there's some women. It's Women's History Month. I told you, give me 3 women. Nobody's giving me that on the air. Forensic accountant is on the web, on the message boards, giving me her women. And she's giving me Val Demings, Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams, Jasmine Crockett, Sherry Beasley, all well-qualified women who lost elections. Yeah? That is absolutely true. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Christian in Manhattan, New York. Christian.
Refresh your screen. Refresh.
Okay, I don't see Christian. Let me go to Alicia in Seattle, Washington. Alicia.
Hello, Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
My pleasure. I wanted to make a comment about the Epstein files. The origin of what took place with these young girls actually started during the slave trade, when white women looked the other way while black women were being molested. They did it for power and for money. And white women through the years have taught their daughters, if you want to succeed, find a powerful white man to help you get through the ranks. They actually taught them this. And so it trickled down to the Me Too movement. When white women used powerful men for money, especially if they want to be a model, these white women know what took place. They need to go and ask their grandmothers, their great-grandmothers, who taught this behavior to their daughters. Because white women always pretend they don't know what's going on. White women have a lot to do and a lot of responsibility and should be held accountable, because these white women, they knew what their husbands was doing with Epstein. They don't say anything because of the wealth. And black people, they should be held accountable.
Hold on a minute. Let me take my break. Thank you for your call. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge, and we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI, we supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're gonna go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and shopping. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational national action network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march, black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, and we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C., two cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York, April for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year in 2025. It needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you. We need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused. I have had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business. Whatever it is. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host. From their journey. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Well, one of the things that I think about all the time is it's easier to give to cynicism, and it's easy to discourage people. I believe in being honest with people, blunt with people, candid with people. But I don't think we need to beat people down into where they just feel like they are inevitably worthless. It always has been the minority of us that push forward and help the majority of us advance because we made progress. So telling us how bad we are is not the answer. If we tell ourselves we're behaving badly, but that's not who we are, we had the capacity to be more, then that is indicting us to uplift us, not indicting us to beat us down. We get enough beat down in society. I try to give people a wake-up call saying, man, get up out that bed. I don't say you ain't nothing but a bed guy. No, you can get up because we've gotten up before. And that's why I'm totally unintimidated by Trump. We beat people bigger and badder than Trump. We fought racists and bigots when the law was on their side, when the law said we were 3/5 of a man. And we couldn't read and write to fight back, and we still won. So we can't talk about what we are not. We can talk about what we're behaving as, but we can't talk about what we're not capable of. We're capable of doing anything and have done it. Same thing with women, Women History Month. We ought to be loading the phones up talking about the women that broke both the race and gender roadblocks that were in their way. Some of you men and women ought to be calling right now saying, this woman, that woman, the other woman. Because they had to face it all. When you think about everybody from Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Mary McLeod Bethune, these people operated in days of slavery all the way to Bethune in days of segregation and was able to rise up to a level of excellence to where even white America had to recognize them and tell their stories at a time that was not happening. And we not going to tell that stories to our children, those stories to our children during Women's History Month? Why we got to tell those stories? Because your daughter and your granddaughter need to know that their gender and their race is their place of beginning, not the ceiling to end them. But if we don't take the time to tell the story, do you think those that want us uplifted is going to tell those stories? Why do you think they're trying to take black history and women's history out of the schools in Florida and other states? Because if they teach you what you're capable of, you might wake up and use that capacity to do something to change the power equation and the economic equation in this society. And it starts right. I love that. Is that Kasem Daniels, Case I. McDaniel? I'm trying to get it with the name on the website, but it says, yes, it starts with you in your home. And it does. I don't care how many places I go and speak and how many places I go on the planet and students and churches and conventions and rallies and sometimes thousands, sometimes hundreds. It's what I say to my daughters, what I say to my grandson is what is important, because they will remember what I said, because they're my flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. A lot of us don't take time to do that. That's why we stay out there. Evangelist Ramsey, one of our most committed and prolific activists in New York, is on the message board saying DEI will not die, DEI will stay alive. 110-week standing. It's the 110th week. They're going out there tomorrow. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. I am so through with people who have no oil or anointing in the kingdom. Get your own oil. With the bridegroom comes we all. All right. I like that. I think that it is important. It is imperative. And if we do not turn this whole conversation around now, you have a man in the White House that has no compunction, no hesitation about doing whatever it is he wants to do, whether it is legal, illegal, ethical, or unethical. Kenneth Lee says, get the reparations check together. Well, I hope you voted. I hope you voted, Kenneth. Just sit back and say, who do you think is going to give reparations? The government? Well, who's going to decide that? The people in the government that's elected. So you just saying something like you saying something smart. Just get the reparations check. Well, just, all right, get us the Senate and the House of Representatives that'll vote for it. That's what you do. We've been fighting reparations 30 years, got reparations committee, and John Conyers out there, all the way to Sheila Jackson Lee. We could not get the votes because people are sitting down home talking about get the check. Like the check gonna come without the people in charge of the government, which is the Treasury, deciding that it's gonna be done. So you think you're saying something revolutionary, you're really playing with black folks. You got the right one with me. I'm glad you wrote that on the message board with me because you can't sell them wolf tickets to me. I've been for reparations since Queen Mother Moore when I was a kid. I know what you have to do to get reparations. And hollering and screaming and taking shots at each other is not going to get us reparations. And I think some of us want to sound militant, I'm a revolutionary. No, you're not. Revolutionaries know how to make a revolution come into fruition. I remember in year 2000, I went to Havana, Cuba, when we were not supposed to travel. They let me come in based on a religious visa as a minister. I met with Fidel Castro. Castro said, I told Che Guevara, I'll help finance you going around the world with revolutions, but I have to stay here and govern. Mandela said the same thing in South Africa. You've got to be, at some point, practical, or you're just playing with the emotions of people. And I'm not impressed or intimidated by people like that, because they're playing games. James Thomas says on the message board, if you want the reparations, stop talking and do the action to get it. That's what I'm saying, James. Sitting around running your mouth while everybody else out here working and you accusing everybody else of not doing nothing. Please. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. That's what I do. Shopton. That's my name. We'll be right back.
Around this is so wicked. Now they're going to they released last night a memo that said that the FBI was investigating Good. They're trying to come up with something on the victim. Not they gonna investigate who shot her. The ICE agent shooting in the head 3 times. They're gonna investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed them. All right, let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The Speaker would be Hakeem Jeffrey, who grew up right here in Name, as he said on Monday. The Speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become Democrats. So the Judiciary Committee, now watch this in the barbershop. The chair of the Judiciary Committee, y'all saw the Judiciary Committee have the hearing and brought in the special counsel yesterday. Well, the chair this time, if the Democrats win, would be a Democrat who could then subpoena the Attorney General Bondi, all of the folks that were involved in January 6th. They can subpoena the Vice President, all of them, because you've got the power of the gavel. Wonder why nobody has asked Pence how he felt running for his life January 6th. Well, if you get the Judiciary Committee, you can subpoena Pence.
This is a defining moment. As our world faces urgent challenges, the movement comes together. National Action Network's 35th anniversary and convention, April 8th through the 11th. Leaders, activists, and community voices united for justice and change. The moment is now. Be in the room.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special, special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. In the Urban Action Network, I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice
with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger. We're expanding food distributions, toy drives, and direct support for families who need us now more than ever. Stop right now and join the movement.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to the message board at our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Let me quickly remind you, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. We're back this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, live at 5. And I've already lined up some of the members of the Senate and at least 2 governors to be on the show this weekend, and Congress people. I want to know where we are on the Affordable Care Act bill that is expired now 3 weeks and premiums are going up. Where we are in terms of keeping ICE defunded and all of this other news. We're losing a real perspective on stuff that we are concerned about. Where are we in terms of our dealing with the issues of voting? The Supreme Court may pull the rug from under Section 2. So I really want to bear down. I'll be live both Saturday and Sunday. Sunday I'll be live from Selma, Alabama for the anniversary of the March Across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I go every year. And as I said earlier in the show, I've been there for historic times. Last time John Lewis went across that bridge, I was there with him. Last time the Reverend Jesse Jackson went last year, I helped wheel him across with his son, Congressman Jonathan Jackson, and Congresswoman Maxine Waters. And when Barack Obama marched across that bridge, the first president of the United States to do it as president, I was right there with him. So I believe, the Bible talks about remove not the ancient landmarks. Reason why you do that is to remind people where they come from. People need to remember. Those that were not alive to remember, they need to learn. People were beaten, tear gas, brutalized on that bridge to give us the right to vote. And you sitting around, I just don't understand the ingratitude. Like the brother or sister, whoever it was on the message board, would just give me the reparation. Like you can just order this like you at Howard Johnson's restaurant. Are you crazy? We must deal with a process of empowerment because we were in fact had dealing with a process of enslavement. And your attitude ain't gonna make nobody do nothing for us. It's our organizing. Let me go to the sage of the South, Brother Jihad in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Jihad.
How you doing, my brother?
All right, how are you?
Bro, you say they sit around like they can just order it.
Yeah. Yeah, bring me some reparations with salt and pepper. I mean, what are you talking about?
I'm sorry. And I got an attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, like they care about your attitude.
I'm sitting down. I'm sitting down with an attitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I think it's about time we quit tolerating this foolishness. You know what I mean? And take the stand that you're taking against those who say it, who do it, and who put it up without the work that goes along with bringing it about. And
right.
Just yelling and talking about it is not bringing it about. So I agree with you 1,000%. It's just basic common sense. If it's in a political system that you're asking a political system to give you reparation, then why not put some people in the political system that can help push your agenda? But no, I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to participate. It's ridiculous, brother.
Right.
Totally ridiculous. You know what I mean? I want to talk about black women for a second, if I could.
Please.
I want to go back to Harriet Tubman, like we said, and I want to also throw Shirley Chisholm in there.
Yeah.
And I also want to throw the Jordan. I can't remember what was
Barbara Jordan. Barbara Jordan.
Barbara Jordan, and they're powerful. You know what I mean? Then I also want to throw Madam C.J. Walker in there. Who wasn't a politician, but who helped finance politicians. You know what I mean? Who
Absolutely.
put money up to support those political movements that we had at that particular time. And I think there's a real powerful lady in California. I can't think of her name. She was real rich and real powerful, and she put her funds together to help promote black cause in the early days of California. I mean, if one do the research, you will find that out. I also want to thank Angela Davis and those black women that were Panthers. Who put forth their effort to bring us forward. You know what I mean? I also want to thank those mothers in the church who provided the support. That's a regular black woman that we want to touch. Let me rephrase it. If we had a show on black men, we'll be reeling off black men's name like crazy. But behind every black man that became politically strong, there was a strong black woman holding up the fort and pushing him and inspiring the agenda forward. So I want to thank all of those black women who also participated, even though they didn't run for political office, but without their support and their efforts, the black men who became powerful in politics would not have become powerful in politics.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank black women, period.
Let me ask you this, because you may know, there was a sister in the nation in Atlanta. I know her last name is Muhammad. I'm trying to remember her name. She was very, very good and really helped shape a lot of young black women. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, that was, what was her name? Sister, she passed away.
Yeah, she recently passed away. That's right.
Yeah, she recently passed away. I can't think what name.
Yeah,
but
well, you know what I'm talking about.
corrected.
Yeah, I mean, there have been women in all movements. In all movements.
All movements. That's correct. All movements. And Reverend Al, if I could close with this, you know what I mean? Here's a idiot in the White House and his whole minions who will promote another country people rising up to speak out against injustice. And then when our people rose up in Minneapolis and other people, they sprayed them with mace, beat them, and kill them.
Right.
This is the kind of system mind that we're dealing with in this particular country. You know what I mean? And worldwide, Israel said the other day that no matter who they elect as leader, we're going to kill them out of this group. It's sickening. I mean, it's diabolical. You know what I mean? That if they produce a leader, we're going to kill them. So how do you come out of this situation if you can't even meet to produce a leader? And they say they're going to kill them from generation to generation to generation. It's real diabolical and it's sinister. And what I would like to happen too, I would like for the black preachers and just preachers to deal with this thing in religion about an Armageddon, a war that's necessary for Jesus Christ to come back. And how much sense does that make? That we need a man who was peaceful, but we have to have this major war in order for him to return. And who benefits when Jesus returns, according to what they say? The Israelis benefit. The so-called chosen people get their due. We're not in heaven now, Rev, right here on earth. Now, to my knowledge, when Jesus come back, it's supposed to be a time of peace to come back to get his people and etc. Not to produce a war so that a small group of people can get some land and be designated as a chosen. We need to deal with these concepts in religion, because you see that what was the guy name? Is either the vice president or one of them. They're openly saying this today, Reb, like it's nothing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? That this is the time. They're openly saying this. You know what I mean? So here's a people that's been influenced by some ideology and religion that just don't make no sense, and it make me question who wrote it, who influenced it.
No, they are saying it. They're saying it, and they're saying it out loud on stages with the seal of the government. And what is troubling is they're not being challenged. Where are the real people that are the real correct interpreters of the scripture? Why are we not standing there challenging this? I just don't understand this. Why are we giving them a free? If you really believe in the scriptures, how can you let somebody pervert the scriptures and you remain silent?
Man, it's deafening, you know what I mean? But to be honest with you, Rev, the reason is, and the Quran talks about this, and I'm sure the Bible does too, it say that they fear. They fear. It's either fear or it's greed, one of the two.
Right.
Or they threaten you with loss of money and wealth and fame, or they make you afraid that they're going to kill you and lose your life. And as long as decent people operate in fear, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a major problem. You know what I mean? And that's what I think they do, and that's why they won't speak up. You know, they punish you, cut your money off, shut your system down, and so people have gotten quiet as a church mouse or threaten to kill you. You know what I mean? So that's why you all stand out so strong in my heart and in my mind, because you come out here and you challenge this system, knowing doggone well that you're under death threats every day and under the threat of financial poverty every day, and et cetera. And it takes special people to do that, Rev, and you all are special people. And sad to say, the masses, we're not that special. You know what I mean? I thank you very much, Rev.
All right, thank you for your call.
Thank you for mentioning Selma again.
All right. Got to keep mentioning it. I'll be there Saturday evening into Sunday. I got to do my rally, then I'm in there. Let me say, and again, that's a landmark. It's a shame if we let our children, our people, not know the landmarks in the history that brought us where we are. And we're not even appreciative of the fact, many of us, not all, but many of us, that we're living a life that our parents couldn't have lived. By law. My mother was from Dothan, Alabama. Grew up in Abbeville. Moved to New York, married my father, met, and I was born, my sister and I never sat in the back of a bus. I never had to drink from a colored water fountain, but she did. And when they changed the laws on that, it's nothing righteous about drinking from a water fountain with white folks, but the idea that you paying taxes and those taxes that you was paying was giving them police that protected them and paying their garbage collectors meant a lot. And we never go through none of that, and we don't even fight to make sure we tell that story. Something is psychologically wrong when you resent the people that sponsored where you are, and yet you want to go further. I hear the music. I got to go. I'll be with you tomorrow. Let me thank all of you that called in today, you that wrote in on the message board. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it wrong, keep it real, keep it real, keep it real. Talk to you tomorrow.